They say obsession can become dangerous if left unchecked. I never believed that, not until the night I discovered Elysia Noctura's music. I've always had a thing for finding and listening to the obscure when it comes to music. There's just something about the melodies of unknown artists that resonates with me. It was this fascination that led me down a path that I never expected. I remember that night clearly, clicking through profile after profile, sampling unknown songs and moving on. Then, there, Elysia Noctura, her playlist, Fever Dream, just 10 songs. This was exactly what I'd been looking for. Elysia Noctura, her music downright haunting, her unique melodies eerie but beautiful, and I found myself drawn into the depths of each song. As far as playlists went, this one was gold. The music stirred something within me. Each note, each lyric, it felt personal, like the artist poured her tortured soul into every song, reaching out from the shadows of obscurity and into my room. And Elysia's voice was smoky, tortured, both angelic and demonic. Each lyric bled with her essence. Her ravaged and rapturous soul offered up to me through these lush, penetrating melodies. I could feel Elysia's loneliness, heartache, and inner demons woven into the haunting melodies. Her songs gave voice to the dangerous, controversial thoughts she must have been forced to repress in life. Now in death, her music was an unrestrained cry, raw emotions transmuted into disturbed art. The unrestrained darkness of the lyrics was intoxicating in a way I can't fully explain. It was like Elysia's anguished spirit reached across time and space, seeking someone who would truly listen. With these songs, she was trapping me, compelling me to understand the well of loneliness and despair from which she was created from. I was beginning to sense the twisted world that had tormented and shattered her. That first night, Elysia's hypnotic songs played on repeat as I drifted to sleep, following me into my dreams. I was in this narrow alley, echoing with an eerie melody, a strange, disjointed waltz. It was as if someone had taken one of the songs from my playlist and twisted it into something nearly unrecognizable. All around was darkness, except for this lone street lamp, painting the street in sickly hues of artificial light. Beneath that lamp, figures emerged, dancing sloppily to the waltz. They were nearly skeletal, their bodies somehow distorted, as if viewed through a warped lens. One stood out from the other shadowy masses, taller than the rest, stark against the limited light. Her slender form was strangely captivating and strangely beautiful, her skin reminding me of moonlight and porcelain. Her voice and the way she looked at me. It felt as though the song was meant only for me. Her song was unfamiliar, tugging at something buried deep within me. The lyrics were alien, but the rhythm of her melody was as seductive as it was frightening. Her eyes, large and dark, bore into me with an unexpected intensity. The way she looked at me, it was as if she had rehearsed this song just for me. What she expected of me, I didn't know. All the while, the other figures danced, jerkily. They had strings extending up into the night. No, not strings. Chains. The woman reached out to me, her fingers unnaturally long. Before I could pull away, her hand closed around my arm. I instantly woke up, covered in sweat, the echoes of that alien voice still in my mind, and a bruise on my arm, resembling the mark left by a firm grip. Later, sitting alone in the glow of my computer screen, I hesitated before pressing play. The music was something beautiful. It wasn't the artist's fault that I had nightmares. That had all just been a coincidence. I needed to reconnect with the music, to remember it like the first time. The haunting melody of the first song, Harvest of Echoes, filled my room, a siren's call rendered in Elysia Noctura's beautiful yet strange voice. For the first time, I found myself really listening to the lyrics, song after song, to unearth the stories they wove. Each line was a brushstroke, painting a twisted, horrifying picture. Lyrics sang sweetly of cannibalistic rituals in the song Feast in the Hall of Shadows, violent dances of death in Dance of Shadows, and perverse masochistic pleasures described in Velvet Chains. The songs, previously so enchanting, were now filled with insidious whispers of fallen angels in the song Whispering Angels, the echoes of a world steeped in relentless dread and despair. Suddenly, each song felt like a puzzle piece clicking into place, forming a panorama of grotesque horror. My skin broke out in goosebumps, a chill running down my spine as I struggled to comprehend the sheer monstrosity of the scenes described. This couldn't be the same music I listened to yesterday. Except I knew that it was. I deleted the playlist. The relief was instantaneous, my racing heart beginning to steady. But a lingering unease remained. The disturbing melodies had carved themselves into my mind like musical earworms, repeating and repeating. Ever have a song stuck in your head, playing over and over again? Imagine that, but instead, it's a melody that followed me everywhere I went, seemingly separate from me, yet so deeply entwined it might as well have been my shadow. The tunes of Elysia Noctura's songs clung to me like the unshakable curse, the haunting lyrics echoing ceaselessly in my mind. After deleting the playlist, a strange thing happened. I'd step into my local coffee shop, hoping for a hit of caffeine to keep the inevitable slumber at bay. And there it was. The mournful ballad, Marionette's Waltz, would drift from the shop's speakers, striking a chilling contrast to the usual upbeat tunes they played. I could almost see the marionette, swaying lifelessly, its strings tangled in a macabre dance of despair. When I walk through the mall, the mellow and slow rhythm of Velvet Chains flow from the overhead speakers. Even in the supposed sanctuary of my car, the radio wouldn't give me respite. Whispering Angels, the song with its eerie chorus about the silent fallen celestial beings, crackled from my worn-out speakers. The playlist was a specter that haunted me, never allowing me to escape Elysia Noctura's chilling serenade. My nights turned into a theater of terror as I slept, a new song for each night. No longer was I a mere observer in this chilling spectacle. I became a participant, and Elysia was ever present, a spectator and a participant. Each night, a new song from Elysia's repertoire became the backdrop of my nightmares. As crimson revelations played in my mind, I found myself walking along an endless shoreline, the sea red with blood, the moon crimson above. The siren song pulled me towards the waves, towards an unseen horror lurking beneath. Elysia's eyes watched me with an insatiable hunger, a predator savoring my fear. The haunting notes of her song echoed about me as she sang, the instruments ethereal and distant. Throughout it all, her mouth, that terrible gash of a grin stretched too wide, always singing. During the song Dance of Shadows, I was in a faceless crowd in a grand, decaying ballroom. Their blank attention bore into me, their hands cold and clammy on my skin, leading me in a dance that had no end to the suffocating darkness. Her lyrics painting horrific scenes with their insidious melodies. The beauty of her voice became a grotesque mockery of the melody, twisting into a hellish cacophony that promised unspeakable things. She was always there, always watching, always singing. The song Throne of Thorns had me entangled in a labyrinth of thorns. Each thorn bore a memory, a regret, a moment of sorrow. The more I struggled, the deeper I sank, the thorns piercing my skin, etching my sins into my flesh. and those were the better dreams. I don't want to talk about Feast in the Hall of Shadows, or how I woke still tasting raw meat, the stench of blood filling my room as if I still bathed in it. Each song from the playlist was a new stage, a new scenario where I was both the puppet and the audience. I was dragged into the narrative of each track, acting out the gruesome scenes under Elysia's direction. The horrific acts that she sang about in her songs, once only disturbing lyrics and nightmarish scenes, became tangible experiences, tasted, felt, and endured. It was as if I was being pulled further and further into Elysia's world, a world where the line between dream and reality became increasingly blurred. Each morning became an escape from a nightmare, knowing that come nightfall, Elysia would be waiting. She'd be waiting with her songs on repeat. I was teetering on the edge, using every tool I could muster to fend off sleep. Elysia Noctura's voice had become the soundtrack of my waking nightmare, no matter how hard I tried to evade it. I guzzled coffee, praying to the gods of caffeine to grant me the strength to resist falling asleep. I'd chug down energy drinks. As each day bled into the night, the struggle against the encroaching sleep felt like holding back the tide. I'd jerk awake from micro-sleeps, where for a split second, I'd be yanked into a nightmare, only to be pulled back into reality. Elysia's voice was everywhere. The songs followed me, echoing through supermarket aisles, haunting coffee shop speakers, and drifting from passing cars. Each note was a reminder of the nightmare that awaited me, each lyric a promise of the torment to come. No matter how far I ran or how hard I tried to block them out, her songs were always there. I now knew them by heart. My eyes were bloodshot as I stared at my own haggard reflection, the mirrors showing the toll of Elysia's songs that they were taking on me. But every time I'd consider surrendering to the sleep, I'd remember the monstrous grin, the unnatural form, and the horrors that awaited me in my dreams. And I'd brew another pot of coffee. Exhaustion gripped me, all my efforts to resist sleep in vain. I succumbed to the darkness, and it swallowed me whole. The dream world had been transformed into a stage of nightmares where Elysia was the main act. Elysia was omnipresent, her figure looming larger than before, the facade of human beauty crumbling away to reveal the grotesque spectacle beneath. Her skin, once an enchanting blend of moonlight and porcelain, now had an uncanny sheen like that of an eel. Her eyes blazed with an intensity that left my dream self frozen in fear. Her mouth had transformed. That grin that was once too wide had become an abyss, a gaping maw that threatened to consume everything. She opened her mouth to sing, and I expected one of her familiar songs. But instead, it opened and closed rhythmically, in tune with a new sound. That is something from between her lips. The sound that came out of her mouth was anything but human. The once hypnotic voice had become a monstrous drone, a deep-throated growl of a beast. The harmony of her songs had disappeared, replaced by this horrific guttural noise. My dream self tried to scream, to run, but I was rooted to the spot, paralyzed by the monstrous spectacle before me. Her song was gone. She was writing a new song, with new torments, a song for me, a song about me. I knew deep within my very soul that there was no escape. Except to wake up, and I fought hard, fought towards the distant safety of consciousness like I was drowning. I mentally clawed and flailed. I raged against the nightmare. I demanded that I wake up. Jolted awake by the sheer terror, I found myself sitting bolt upright in bed, drenched in cold sweat, heart pounding. I knew in every fiber of my being that if I closed my eyes again, if I surrendered to sleep, it would be my end. A new kind of fear set in, not for the monstrous entity I had come to associate with Elysia Noctura, but for the silence that now surrounded me. My brain had gone quiet. The absence of her songs, those eerie, disturbing melodies that had pervaded my every waking moment, now seemed like a harbinger of something somehow worse. As panic clawed at my insides, a desperate idea began to form. The songs, the cursed playlist that started it all, might hold the key to surviving this nightmare. I grabbed my phone, my fingers fumbling as I navigated back to the music platform. My breathing hitched as I keyed in the name Elysia Noctura. Except the search yielded nothing. I tried again, this time with the song titles. One by one, I typed them in, my desperation growing with each fruitless attempt. All traces of Elysia and her haunting songs had disappeared. My head spun. The one link I had to the entity was gone. The silence left in its wake was far more terrifying than the pervasiveness of her songs. It was in that silence that I knew. I needed to find the songs to unearth the cursed playlist that entwined my reality with the realm of nightmares. It was my only hope, my last chance to escape the hungry gaze of the singer and the inevitable doom that awaited me in my dreams. Without it, there was nothing. Without it, without giving her music life, she had only one last use for me. A realization hit me like a shockwave. Out of all 10 songs on the playlist, there was one I had never dreamt about. Siren Silence. A chill ran down my spine as I tried to recall the melody, the lyrics, anything about that particular song. Strangely, I couldn't remember it at all. It was as if it had been erased from my memory. Was it a coincidence? Was there something more, a secret locked within that last song? A desperate thought began to gnaw at me, consuming my mind with a newfound obsession. I had to find that song. I had to hear Siren Silence. I scoured every record store, every online platform, every hidden corner of the musical world. My last shred of hope was tied to the faint echo of an unknown melody, a song that eluded me at every turn. Yet I couldn't stop, couldn't rest, not until I found it. And now I have not slept for 4 days. I'm sure that I'm hallucinating. She's not really in there, standing next to my bed, waiting. She's not real. She's not real. She's not real. Thank God. I'm so tired. So tired.